Time now for the Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.
What did you just say that you think I'm doing? I'm asking you questions about whether or not, if something is wrong, it is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden, and I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, you don't know me as well as you should.
Chris,
I'm not playing coy. I know what happened to me,
Chris,
Eric. I'm saying that what is happening now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the question.
Did we raid Biden's home? Did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, against Biden? Did we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? Did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? Was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? Did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense, to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. Did we do any of that?
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Chris Cuomo was trying to help Eric Trump sell his brand new book, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Wow. That's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. You take it right back. That's what that's what people on the left don't want, but that's what Eric Trump dishes out. He's ready. He's well-studied and knows exactly what weaponized government looks like in the brand new book, Under Siege. And Eric Trump joins us this morning live. We're thrilled to have you, sir. And boy, congratulations. Online, that appearance just blew up. Good morning.
And by the way, that wasn't even the best part. I mean, that was obviously a good part, but I looked over at my assistant who was sitting in the corner, and literally she put her head, her head in her palms as I just went on a tirade. I mean, the great irony of the Cuomo family wanting to tell me that government isn't weaponized is truly, truly shocking, Chris. I mean, they threw Letitia James, the same person who came after us for a $600 million verdict that I got overturned 5-0 right at the appellate courts, went after and threw his brother out of the New York governorship, right? Got him fired from CNN. Ended up running for the very same position that she just overturned, right? I mean, she ran for governor after throwing him out of the governorship, right? Destroyed the entire family's life. And now the guy's hardly beating Mandami. In fact, he's not beating Mandami. A communist is literally beating him. When 2 years ago, he was probably the heir apparent Democrat to run for president of the United States. And he has the gall to sit there, and it was a respectful conversation, but he had the gall to say that government in this country, to a Trump, who's the most subpoenaed man in American history, isn't weaponized. Give me a break.
It's funny because you saw his brother on The View, I'm sure, this week, or saw the clips of it, where he was telling the ladies on that show, you can't elect Mamdani because if you do, President Trump's going to have to come in and take over New York. That's literally what he's saying. Don't elect Mamdani or Trump will take over New York. I mean, but you guys have an operation there, a business there. So this is still personal to you guys, even though you don't call it home necessarily anymore.
It's horribly personal to me, Chris. I mean, listen, New York's the greatest city in the world. I mean, I wrote the book Under Siege, right? And the whole concept of it is how they weaponized every aspect of New York, every aspect of the state, every aspect of the country to try and destroy our family. I mean, Chris, we had been in the business world for the last 4 generations. I've been in the business world for 25 years. We've never gotten so much as a speeding tickets. We've never had so much as nothing. Run a perfect company. The second my father went down that escalator, they took a bat to our head. And by the way, the first time, as bad as it was in terms of the impeachment, the Russia scandal and everything, like that's really dirty politics. I mean, what Hillary Clinton did, making up dirty dossiers, trying to affect people's marriage, trying to affect people's family, making up stories that we have secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating with Russia. That's dirty. But I mean, the real games came when my father dared to run again, and they didn't want him on that stage. And that's when they took away his First Amendment rights. That's when they silenced him and censored him from every social media channel. You couldn't find Donald Trump on YouTube. That's when the judges started gag ordering him. They kept him locked in a cold courthouse every single day. They did that to our entire family. That was the siege, right? They wanted to arrest us. They wanted to bankrupt us. They wanted to take us down. They were stripping us off of the ballots of states in this country, using justices to subvert the will of the American people. That was their plan. And when all of that failed, they tried to kill my father in Butler. We all watched it on TV. I had my kids on my lap and then a month later or 2 months later, they tried to kill him again in Palm Beach, Florida. This is a siege they put us under, and they put you under that siege, Chris, and they put your viewers under that siege when they debanked them, when they deplatformed them, when they silenced them, when they turned down the dials. If they tried to amplify a message, they went after their churches, and they went after their pastors, and they went after their conservative nonprofit organizations, and they used the IRS as a weapon in this country. They put our party and they put our nation under siege, and that story had to be told.
Eric Trump, again, the book, Under Siege. This is something you must read. When you and I talked about it before it officially came out, my wife heard the interview. She said, we must have that book. I said, yeah, I think because you've laid out the blueprint of what happened to you, and it can never happen again. President Trump's victory, I think, went a long way to at least my comfort level of knowing the country woke up to what you went through. If we hit rewind, and you mentioned that first term, were you... The word is not naive. I just don't think anybody could have imagined how visceral and vicious politics could be. Did your father, were you shocked at just what people were willing to do to thwart him?
Not only were we naive, but I think the entire country was naive to the games that these people were going to play. But I will say, maybe the one person who actually wasn't naive was my father about it. When he sat us down to tell us he was running for president, he goes, kids, we're going to learn very quickly who our true friends are. I'll never forget, Chris, I'll never forget that statement. We're going to, and then he followed that up with, they're going to come after us in ways that we can't even possibly imagine. 12 minutes after my father took the oath of office, right? I mean, we were at the nation's capital. He had his hand on the Bible. The Washington Post writes a story. This is when the impeachment of Donald Trump begins, right? I mean, he had just had his hand on the Bible. 12 minutes later, the story comes up. This is when the impeachment of Donald Trump begins. And they impeached him, and they impeached him a second time, and they made up the dirt. I mean, they did everything they could, right, to try and kill him, to kill his movement, to cut the head off of the tiger. And every single time they did it, you know what? He got stronger. He got stronger.
Yes,
There's only so many times in life you can cry wolf before people stop believing it. And the American people stopped believing it. And that's why the mainstream media in this country, that's why you're doing so well, but that's why the mainstream media in this country has gone to hell, and no one listens to NBC, ABC, CBS, because they're effectively the de facto PR arm of the Democratic Party, and Americans don't like it.
Today, James Comey is going to be arraigned. I think you probably saw Attorney General Pam Bondi talking about this Operation Arctic Frost and the surveillance of Republican senators, too. Kash Patel is certainly, and Dan Bongino, they've been laying bare everything that we either witnessed or were pretty sure was happening. We now know it was. As you see James Comey arraigned today, your reaction?
I'm an old school guy who believes the FBI, and I mean, so many of the people in the FBI are good friends of mine, like, the gun carriers, not these, bureaucrats at the top, the gun carriers. But, I've always been a believer that the FBI agents and the FBI in general should keep, planes from hitting buildings in New York City, or, keep the Western way of life safe, keep terrorists off the street, keep, axe murderers away and in jail for the rest of the time. I mean, and yet you have James Comey who's sitting there leaking memos daily to the New York Times. I mean, I find it wholly unacceptable. I mean, that's not law fighting. That's it's not crime fighting. That's using a massive agency to otherwise target political opponents. And so when I see, I mean, the least shocking thing I saw all week was the fact that senators were on that list. I mean, they spied on my father's campaign in 2017, 2016, and 2017. Does it shock you if they're willing to spy on a potential candidate for president of the United States or Republican nominee for president of the United States? Does it surprise you at all, that they're looking at Lindsey Graham and every other senator? Does it surprise you that they're spying on them? When I heard about Arctic Frost, it's the least surprising thing I've probably heard of this month.
Eric, the book is called Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Eric Trump joins us. I asked you this before, and I want to ask it again because I know this audience cares deeply about it, but I always remind everyone, including myself, no one cares about it more than the president and you and your family in seeing justice done here. Do you have total confidence in the FBI Director Kash Patel, Deputy Director Bongino, and Pam Bondi as our Attorney General? Do you have confidence justice will be served under this particular leadership? Because as you know, people just grow impatient and feel like things aren't happening because we don't see it and hear about it. How do you, who's most impacted by this, you and your family, how do you feel these people are doing?
Great. In fact, I'll go beyond that. Unbelievable. And Chris, I mean that. I know Kash very, very well. Kash was there in the darkest moments of 2021. He knows the fight. They went after him. He knows exactly who these people are. He's honest. He's sharp. He's hardworking. I have no doubt. I've known Dan Bongino for 15 years. Dan Bongino is one of the most patriotic, good Americans, hard-charging that you will ever see in your life. He doesn't have a dishonest bone in his body. You better believe they will not corrupt him, and he will get to the bottom of the mess. And Pam Bondi is an amazing person. And again, one that they tried to destroy over and over and over. She had a front row seat to who these people are and what they're capable of doing. And I thought she was great yesterday. I thought she was absolutely great. So do I have faith in those people? I know them all personally. I know their heart. I know their soul. This isn't like, meeting somebody once at a cocktail party. This is like being on, stages with them all across the nation in the worst of times when your phone wasn't ringing. I believe those guys are going to get to the bottom of all of this. And I think there's going to be unbelievable forces against them. You better believe that the swamp is going to lash out against Pam, as you saw yesterday, and Kash and Dan. But they're tough as hell, and I think they're going to do amazing work. And I have total. And by the way, I don't say this about people in Washington, right? I'm not a Washington, D.C. guy. I choose to spend my time outside that city. But I have total faith in these guys. I really do.
Eric, when the time comes that the president, your father, leaves, then you're talking about another race by another Republican. Do you imagine being, with just about 30 seconds to go here, Eric, I'm sorry to rush this answer, but do you think that you will have a role in counseling another campaign since you've been through this and you know the dirtiest of dirty playbooks? Do you think you will be helpful in lending voice to whoever it is that comes next? You and your family.
On November 6th at about 3 o'clock in the morning, I called my father and I said, congratulations. There are no more plays for me to run. There's no more stages for me to be on. I'm retiring from politics, and I love you deeply. I'm going to go run the company. You go run the country. You make us proud. I'll make you proud. And it was a beautiful moment. Listen, I think politics at this point is probably ingrained somewhere in our DNA. And so I'm sure I'll be involved in some way, shape, or form for a very long time to come. But listen, I'm happy we won 2 presidencies, and my father's ultimately saving the republic and doing a great job for the United States of America.
This is the most important book I think Americans can read to fully understand the weaponization of government against its people. Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Eric Trump, thank you, my friend.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel. Stay informed anytime, anywhere with the Salem News Channel and 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This has been The Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.